What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another BTR podcast.
We got a March Madness heavy pod plus a Diggs trade to the Houston Texans as well. Before we get into that, please like the video. Please subscribe as well. We do apologize. We're both under the weather. We're both a little bit sick. And my eyes are red. I'm not high. I'm just having an allergic
It's
reaction.
not that bad right now.
It isn't? It was really
It's not
bad.
bad right now. Usually when I come home, it's bad, but it's not bad today.
No, my mom woke up. She's like, yo, what the hell's wrong with you?
Well, if I sound I am under the weather, it's because of this guy, as you could tell from the last episode. But so yeah, we're gonna try to keep it straight to the point. NHL and we have NBA news today, but NHL and NBA heavy starting next podcast episode because we're coming to the wire with the playoff races, and play-in starts earlier than normal, right? So yeah, because you still technically have to get the playoff spots there. So starting. Except for the NFL draft stuff, NHL and NBA heavy starting next episode most likely because March Madness will be done Monday. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely the women's will be covering on Monday. We'll see what happens on the men one. But let's get right into it. We have to start with the women. This is probably one of the only times, as of right now, we have to pay respect to the woman side of sports.
Hey, man, the women's March Madness tournaments have been better recently.
Last 2 years, yeah.
Last like 2-3 years. And now you got a matchup of probably the heavyweight matchup, even though they're not heavyweights.
Yeah. Before we get to the matchup, though.
Paige Beckers
Caitlin Clark
versus Caitlin Clark. Iowa versus UConn.
And people are forgetting that South Carolina is also involved and they're actually undefeated. But
yeah, I know.
Let's get to the big matchup. Let's get to the Elite 8 matchup. That broke records. Over 12 million people watched that game, highest in women's basketball history, which was more than the 2023 NBA Finals, more than the 2023 World Series, and a bunch of college games, more than any college playoff type games, not the actual playoff, like the Pac-12 championship, college regular season game, except Ohio State versus Michigan. So it did numbers. You would think this was the final because it broke last year's finals number, which I think last year was only 8 million.
No, I think it was 9 point something.
Yeah, but either way, it went 3 million more.
Yeah, no, that's broke it. Yeah.
And
the story was here.
The story was there, right?
The story
and
was there.
That was the point.
And the game lived up to it. It was 45-45 at halftime.
So let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Then we'll talk about LSU, and then we'll head over to the UConn side of things. So Caitlin Clark, she had to come out and show out, and she did exactly that. The first half I watched was a tight game. Little uncharacteristic of her by turnovers. That's what my god damn. She came out hot. Right, Angel Reese, on the other hand, also came out guns blazing, essentially, until she got hurt. And I was like, oh, damn, this is going to be like last year all over again. Because LSU was up almost double digits, I want to say, in the first half.
Near the end of the first quarter.
And then...
because they have quarters, so you could say quarter.
True, but... And then it was a tie game at half, and then unfortunately, Haley Van Lith, I don't know why she was the main girl guarding her, but unfortunately made her look terrible. And Caitlin Clark... I'm not saying she's Steph Curry, but those shots she was making were Steph Curry-esque.
9 3-pointers, I think that was...
Out of 20, ties
the record.
With Canadian Kia Nurse, who was more efficient, 9 for 12.
Yeah, but that's the end. 9 for 23, that's like 48%.
Still 45.
45%, that's still incredible.
Yeah.
And 41 points. Last year's Elite 8, she had 41 points and 12 assists. Same thing happened this year.
Yeah.
Again, it was just, like, it's speechless. Like, you can't... It lived up to every... Like, it just lived up to the hype, right? That
both sides, game, not
both
just
sides. It was a 90-80 game or something like that. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Right, for a 40-minute game. It's not 48 minutes, right?
Exactly.
If this was 48 minutes, it would have reached like 104, I would say.
Yeah, so the game itself, I'm surprised Kim Mulkey go under the screen on Caitlin Clark, because when she could hit a shot, she will be firing away like she did with 23s, and she will probably be efficient like she was with 45% of them going in. So I don't know why that was the game plan, why they were not blitzing her and forcing other girls on the team to make plays for her. Even when they did that, Caitlin Clark, again, her passes remind me of Luka-esque at times as well, with like those bounce passes, the over the full court, like the LeBron full court pass that they do. So yeah, it's like that surprised me a lot. Obviously, Flau'jae Johnson wasn't the same from the previous game, which obviously makes sense. But they had to dominate through Angel Reese, and she did exactly that until she got hurt because they were the bigger physical team.
LSU is the bigger team, so it was quite surprising, especially when you saw the first like 4 minutes of the game. they were getting dominated, but they were not getting under paint. They were taking so many stupid shots, no paint touches for LSU. Makes no sense
until
when
that
you have,
timeout.
yeah, makes no sense when you have the size advantage, and that's when Angel Reese started popping off a little bit, and then they got away for them. The third quarter was the big quarter, the one that got away from
Yeah.
LSU. Clark came out guns blazing again after halftime, and that's where the real separation happened in that game.
Yeah. We'll come back to Iowa and Caitlin Clark in a second because I'm gonna still give her flowers more when we talk about the game against UConn. But going to the LSU side of things, I want to say this. Yes, they're not a likable team unless you're an LSU fan or from Louisiana, whatever team you support in Louisiana that way, which is fine. You could see that. However, with what Angel Reese may not be liked, what she does on the court, I love it. Right? I'm not sitting here saying I was rooting heavily for Caitlin Clark, mainly because of the Caitlin Clark story. And yeah, they're not a likable team. I'm going to say it straight up, right? But what Angel Reese and the LSU team did to bring attention to women's sports, it needs to be happening more because you need more villainous characters. Before this, even when we watched that Ari McDonald on that South Carolina team and all that, you didn't see any villainous stuff until this LSU team, right? And they got people talking to the point. And unfortunately, I don't know why a 20-year-old girl is getting death threats and all that stuff, which I think death threats are like you shouldn't be getting that anyways. It's a sport.
It's happened,
right? But that to the side,
it happens everywhere.
The fact that she got death threats shows that people actually cared about the game, I guess. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing that she's getting death threats. I'm saying that like
in the
normally
sense that
you don't hear anything.
People tuned in,
and there's obviously a racial factor to it, but we're not gonna get into that. But yeah, it was like. I loved it in a sense that like there was a heel, right? And she lived up to it. But at the end of the day, she came out and she was real in her press conference afterwards. She wasn't disrespectful at the end of the thing as well. Like even the one when she lost to South Carolina in the SEC championship game, or I think it's SEC, she came out and said like, I ain't scared of South Carolina. Let me get that straight. You know, me and Caitlin Clark, we do not hate each other. Let's get that straight. But when you're on the court, you need that mentality of it's me and my team over anybody. I don't care if you're my best friend on the other side. And I gotta give huge props to her and LSU for doing that because it brings the attention. Look how many people tuned in on ESPN numbers. I'm sure people illegally streamed it as well. That does not count towards the numbers, unfortunately. But the money side of things, it did records, right?
Oh yeah,
and
it's a
that's
record.
what counts.
And yeah, incredible game. The game lived up to it as well. Credit to LSU, but Iowa was the better team at the end of the day.
Before we close it out and move on to the other matchup in a second, two things. One, LSU at least got the championship, so that's good. Because of that, it may have made her decision easier. Angel Reese has officially declared for that WNBA draft, which is, I wished Paige Beckers declared for the draft because you have Camila Cardoso, which we'll get into South Carolina later on, also declared for the draft, and you have like all 5 players that were coming out of 2020's like class, except for Paige Beckers, all essentially declared. But at the same time, I'm happy because Paige deserves, and we're gonna give Paige her flowers in a second. Paige deserves to headline her own class as well.
No, she's the number 1 overall pick.
So, but that being said, yeah, she's probably a top 4 pick. I want to say top 3 pick, depending on how you want to put the others: Aaliyah Edwards, Camila Cardoso, Caitlin Clark, and Cameron Brink. So, hats off to LSU. And keep doing what you're doing next year, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if Lajee is back or if she's eligible, but we'll see what happens with that. Let's get to the other matchup.
UConn, USC.
Also lived up to the hype.
Beckers versus Juju Watkins, the freshman who had made freshman history by scoring the most points as a freshman, previously held by, I think, Paige Beckers.
I'm not sure. Don't quote on me on that, but sure, we'll go with that.
But I'm just saying the best freshman year since Paige Beckers.
Yeah.
And lived up to the battle. Juju Watkins unfortunately did take the L here. And it's because of Paige Beckers and UConn hit their shots when it mattered most and got stops. Paige Beckers' defensive game was pretty underrated because it was fun seeing her guard Juju like straight up, having that one-on-one matchup. We're going to see that against Iowa with Caitlin Clark as well. But Beckers, 28 points, just efficient. Juju Watkins, unfortunately, wasn't efficient enough. And she said that herself in the press conference. It's something that she needs to work on for next year. But again, the game lived up to it. It was just a masterclass by UConn and Beckers and
Aaliyah Edwards as well.
Gino
Oriyama, yeah. let me talk about the USC side of things. This team's gonna be scary next year because she's a freshman, like your freshman. I don't know how to say it, but
Just freshman still, yeah.
yeah. To your point, so she will learn from this. This team and UCLA both will be fun teams to watch next year because these guys will be coming back. But yeah, the women's sport obviously elevated as we go. Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, all these girls. It's not going anywhere because Juju will be back for at least 2 more years.
Oh yeah,
Right?
for sure.
So if you're thinking, oh yeah, Caitlin Clark is going away, no, it's just not the Caitlin Clark show. You have Paige Beckers following you next year, and then still with Juju Watkins, and then on top of that, you got Juju Watkins the year after when Paige declares for the draft as well. So
it's a year
it's
after
there.
that you might start be concerning.
Maybe, but then again, with the way it's going, I won't be surprised with talent because if you look at what Dawn Staley did with South Carolina, she lost practically everybody and is still undefeated, and no one talks about that, right? So, yeah, no, shout out to Juju. It was a great game to watch for sure, and we'll see what USC does next year. But let's get to the matchup. Let's talk about the two heavyweights, best lightweights. I don't know how you want to put it.
They're heavyweights.
But Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark, and I'm gonna start with Caitlin Clark. And then I'll pass it over to you to give, you're the leader of the Don't Forget About Paige Beckers fan club.
Don't forget.
Over there, right?
Just don't forget.
Because people don't realize that Paige Beckers was the girl coming out of high school before the injuries. But Caitlin Clark, to credit to her, I still think she's the best player in college basketball. But people, in women's college basketball, even college basketball in general, but people think it's like Caitlin Clark and everybody else down here, right?
It's not.
It's not. Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers are neck and neck. I'm going to make that clear to everybody. They're neck and neck, which means that this game could determine who's the best player in college basketball for me. That's how it is. It's unfortunate that Paige Beckers was unhealthy for the last year or so. But what Caitlin Clark did, it shouldn't go unnoticed because her idol is Maya Moore. Maya Moore is one of the greatest women players ever, right? She went to UConn. Caitlin Clark straight up said, I want to be a UConn player mainly because of her. She did not get any offers. Gino did not visit her. So she obviously has a revenge game factor in her mind, which is all fair. So she stayed in her hometown. I believe Iowa's in her home state or state or town. But yeah, but like I said, like she deserves all the flowers. She carried the sport while Paige was out and elevated it even more this year with more pressure on her because she has to win it this year. Because if she wins it this year, I think she might go down as the greatest college women's basketball player in history. She might already be that without the chip. I don't know.
No, she needs to win a chip.
The win will definitely solidify it.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll see with that because no one even when we were watching college sports, no one was talking about how much they talk about Caitlin Clark now as they did with Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, right?
Oh, yeah.
We heard them more in the WNBA or the occasional Kia Nurse because we're Canadian, but how UConn was doing. It was just UConn and everybody else at that point. So, but that being said, I'm going to, before we get to the complete matchup, I'm going to get you to give Paige Beckers her flowers because people forget that she was the girl before Caitlin Clark emerged on the scene.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, I've never been this excited for a matchup in a while, right? It's Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers neck and neck. Then it's everyone else, right? Because that's just how it is. They're both deserving to be the number 1 overall pick. If Paige Beckers did declare for this year's draft and Indiana picked Paige Beckers, you shouldn't be mad.
No.
You shouldn't be because she's that good.
Yeah, but
I do agree with you that Caitlin Clark is the better player. At the moment, Caitlin Clark
by like a hair.
is better at the moment. Reason being is Caitlin Clark needs to drop 40 for her team to win. Paige Beckers could get away with a 20 and still win.
I mean, yeah.
But in the sense of Paige Beckers, she was the freshman. She beat Caitlin Clark in the freshman year. I remember those incredible games against Baylor, right? I think 2 years in a row. Kim Mulkey, she beat Kim Mulkey herself.
Yeah.
Technically, too. So she had her battles with Kim Mulkey. Paige Beckers was the freshman, led her team to the final as a sophomore.
Lost to South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah. And then got injured, right? ACL injury, unfortunately. And that's when Caitlin Clark made her name for herself.
Caitlin Clark was already coming up.
Yeah, no, but
made it known.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
She made it known when Paige Beckers wasn't there.
And people forgot.
And it's not, people forgot about Paige Beckers, but I'm saying Caitlin Clark did not make it known.
Yeah.
When Paige Beckers was there, she made it known when she wasn't. Right? So this matchup is,
Slight disagreement.
Bro, it's clear, like she popped off when Paige Beckers was injured.
No, the reason why I disagree.
She was there, but she wasn't at this level that she was.
Yeah, no,
What
but
she did last year.
What my point is, like, even she was emerging, and
She
people
was
were really
emerging.
feeling her
Yeah,
game.
no, she was emerging,
Yeah.
but she wasn't player of the
When
year.
I think it was the
she
year
wasn't player of
she
the
got
year
upset
caliber.
in that one earlier rounds. I remember.
She wasn't player of the year caliber when Paige Beckers was there
I
at
get
the end
it.
of the day,
But
right?
yeah, continue.
And we forgot. And at the beginning of the season, when I saw mock drafts that like Paige, I know she's not in the draft, but there were mock drafts with Paige Beckers, and she's not the number 2 pick. I'm like, that's bogus.
Yeah.
Right? No disrespect to Cameron Brink, because I think she was a number 2 listed on a mock. But it's Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and everyone else. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, real casuals wouldn't know that, right? Because they would just tune into the hype. Again, that was great on Caitlin Clark to keep the hype rolling, right? Because like Kim Mulkey said, she's a superstar. She's a generational player, but so is Paige Beckers, in my opinion. And many people have debates about that, and that's what it is. And Paige is, like I said, Caitlin Clark has her revenge factor in this game about you didn't want me. Paige is going to have that you must have forgot about me moment because you better have remembered my name. I don't know how that thing goes, but like that
and
type of
the sense
moment.
of pressure, right? They both have the pressure. Yes, I know it. For Caitlin, it's going to be, it is her last year.
Yeah.
For Paige, is like, I need to win this game to put myself back on the map, essentially.
I'll be honest.
Like, she's already on the map. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
eyes, she's on the map. But, like, in her head, she's like,
yeah, for
I want to
sure.
be that one.
Well, 100%. Like I'm saying, even for casuals fans, it's gonna be like, oh, see, Caitlin Clark is better. It is what it is between them. But the matchup is.
But here's the thing. We're going into the matchup.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark needs to drop at least 35 for Iowa to have a chance.
Yeah.
Paige could get away with 20 at the end of the day. UConn, yes, I know they're injured. I know they're, a little bit beaten up. They're still the better team.
Yeah, because people argued LSU was a better team than Iowa, right? So.
LSU was a better team on
yeah.
paper. And Iowa was.
Because people are looking at the number 1 of Iowa and thinking that way, right?
Yeah, and we all know why it's number 1.
Yeah.
It's because of Caitlin Clark.
Exactly.
And Iowa's the worst team
No
last year.
discredit to her teammates because some of her teammates did hit some big shots during that LSU game as well when she found them. Because at the end of the day, when she finds them, they have to hit the 3-pointer.
Yeah, I know. They made some shots, but Iowa on paper was the worst team last year.
Sure.
Last year's Iowa, because some of those players got drafted and that made the final.
Exactly. So, yeah, like overall, it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm rooting for Caitlin this year, but I'm rooting for Paige next year as much as a hypocrite I sound because I want a Canadian to win, even though Aaliyah Edwards did win technically in her freshman year. So, who I think is going to win, it's tough for me to say.
I can't pick.
You can't go against Caitlin Clark in her mission right now. And that because of that, I think she's more of the woman on a mission, slightly more because of it's her last year than Paige. I think she's gonna go out. The fact that she went 12 million people were watching at home and however many were in Albany watching that game, and she did that when the whole world was watching. No one gave a shit what Devin Booker did in his game. No one. I don't think anyone cared.
I don't even know what Devin Booker did.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Everybody was watching this game. I did not care of what happened, right? So, yeah, I'm going with Iowa close game. It's gonna live up to the hype. If people think the last game did 12 million, this game should do 15.
Oh yeah, no.
This game should be doing more than 12
This should
million.
break a record.
Yeah.
I think this should break the record. But yeah, no. This is probably the biggest heavyweight matchup in NCAA women's history, and
at least in our lifetime watching women's college.
Yeah, no, but like we never seen players get hyped up this much.
Yeah.
Right. Ever at the end of the day.
Let's wait. What's your prediction?
Oh man, I just have this gut feeling that that's gonna be a rough ending for Clark.
So you're gonna go with that?
But at the same time,
You're rooting for her?
I'm rooting for her. Like I'm doing the same thing. Like my perfect ending is Clark wins this year, Beckers win next year.
Yeah.
Right, and then Watkins win the year after.
Yeah.
Essentially. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Iowa again. Close game. If Caitlin Clark drops 40, it might not be enough. If she drops 45, which she can, I think it might.
Let's go to the other matchup because people and Don Staley says it like let them talk about those other teams because no one's talking about an undefeated team at this point of the tournament like how people usually do in the past and rightfully so, Clark and Beckers deserve the attention, but some might say South Carolina might be underrated at this point because no one's talking about
Oh yeah, they're 100% underrated because when you have a heavyweight matchup, we don't even talk about it. But
Don Staley is Coach of the Year, if there is a Coach of the Year
for
award.
sure.
Because
There
of what
is.
she did,
There is.
Turned around how she turned around the program after losing last year's best player in Aaliyah Boston, and yeah.
And the front court duo of Boston and Cardoso was incredible, right? And now you lost Boston, who went on to win Rookie of the Year in the WNBA.
Yeah, All-Star as well.
Cardoso is as bit as advertised. I'm not saying she is Aaliyah Boston, but she is.
Yeah.
if she ain't Aaliyah Boston, she is pretty damn close. Don Staley, again, one of the greatest coaches ever, right? So it's undefeated. Yes, you're not getting talked about, but there's a reason you're not getting talked about is because
Yeah.
of that heavyweight matchup.
But going to the matchup, sorry, NC State, we don't know much about you as well. You might be able to upset because South Carolina was close of losing, I think, a couple of games ago. I forgot against who. It was close, though. I remember they had to make a slight comeback, and then it was gone down to the wire. But just for the sake of it, like, again, this is the perfect run for Caitlin Clark. If she gets by Angel Reese, she gets by Paige Beckers, and now she might have to go by Dawn Staley and Camila Cardoso. I'm give me South Carolina just because they're undefeated. I have no reason to go against them, and we'll and then for the final, give me Iowa still. But I won't be surprised because then South Carolina has the Caitlin Clark story where Caitlin Clark knocked them out last year.
Yeah,
as well.
Ruined their undefeated run from last year.
Exactly right. So, yeah. Before we go to the men's side of things, I'm assuming you're going South Carolina as well.
Yeah.
Also, the first time in history before we transition to the men, we got 2 schools representing each Final Four with UConn, right, and NC State with the Cinderella run. But the last thing, I want to close it out. I feel like you're gonna agree with me, so we'll say it together. Women's sports on the rise, right? If you don't think what's happening right now isn't good, you're just a hater. I'm gonna just say that, make that plain and simple. And you said it last time. I hope I can't fully say it on the WNBA too much because like they are showing the games on ESPN and all that. But once, especially when Paige gets in there, but this year Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and all these girls are in. I hope more, including us. I'm putting us accountable on this as well. Tune into more of these games because in the future you might have, potentially it could be Paige Beckers, Angel Reese on the same team on a showdown against Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark. Right? Depending on what happens with this game, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers might be a rivalry for the rest of their careers.
I think the issue was the WNBA last year was because we already knew what the finals was.
Yeah, that's the concern.
And then we probably already know it's the same final again this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is. It doesn't matter. When you have that talent, Adnescu and Stewart, and you have Plum and Aja Wilson.
Yeah.
It's already a lock.
But this is what I want to say. When good teams play good teams, it doesn't matter if it's men or women, it's gonna be a good game. We saw it with women's hockey, Canada, USA.
That's the thing. So like,
and then even last year's finals, we didn't do a good job watching it. We should. We watched a couple of games.
We watched the finals. Yeah.
Yeah. So
when New York didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, but when 2 good teams play each other, tune in. When Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese next year, tune in because it will be there. So,
but my thing with the WNBA is that if there's still issues on the viewership side, when you have Clark and all these guys going in, there might be something that you gotta look in the mirror as well as a league to fix.
Yeah, but again,
there's something that you gotta fix too.
I don't know what they've done a lot to fix it the last couple of years. To be fair,
yeah, I know.
So now I want to see what the
they're doing better.
Like.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, if you're still having issues when you have Clark and all these guys or all these girls going into the league,
yeah.
There's something that you gotta do better as well.
We don't want to talk too much into it because we might be talking out of our ass a little bit.
But I'm just saying I'm just saying it from like just the outside perspective. I'm not even focusing on what's going on in and of that. Like, you have this much talent, right? You have the talent now. Yeah. At the end of the day.
So we'll see.
So you gotta do something with it.
Hopefully the salary cap, they bring enough attention. The salary cap goes up so the women stay longer as well. So
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there. But let's get to the men. Unfortunately. In a good way, unfortunately, because the women are getting their deserved rightful attention. We didn't. No one's really talking about their Final Four as much. It's NC State Cinderella run against Purdue, right? You got Zach Edey versus what's his name again? Burns, DJ Burns, and the other side you got UConn taking on Alabama, right? And Alabama's a good team themselves. Right now, it should be UConn versus Purdue. I want to see that matchup as well, as much as I want to see a Cinderella run. But the only reason why I'm assuming UConn's going to win, and if NC State somehow pulls this off, I think it's going to be another blowout like last year. And UConn is so dominant, even though they lost a couple of players to the draft, a guy like Jordan Hawkins, for example.
They've still been so good.
And they're still killing it, right? And this year, they're actually a 1 seed. I don't think they were a 1 seed last year.
They were 3 seed last year, I think.
Yeah, so that being said...
Like, legit, like, what Edey and Dalton Connect did against Tennessee... Like that Tennessee matchup, against Purdue was incredible.
Edey's on a man on the mission himself.
Yeah, Edey's on a man on a mission. Best thing he did was to stay and he definitely should be drafted.
Yeah.
I'll say if it's
Now
first or
it's
second
going
round.
like first round, even
Because-
lottery.
Yeah, no, he's been on a mission. He dropped like what 38 points himself. 30, I think no 40.
He dropped 40.
He got the 40. Yeah, he
Yeah.
got the 40. So again, Edie, another player of the year player of the
Candidate.
year season. It's just been an incredible season for Edie. Purdue is going on that revenge tour like how Virginia did when they lost to a 16 seed and then won the title the next year. Let's see if Purdue could do that. And UConn, who was the last team? I don't think I've ever witnessed a team win back to back.
I'll double check that while you talk about NC State.
When I started. NC State, DJ Burns, legend. Guy plays with a smile on his face. Big body. He can move for a big body. Yeah, good footwork.
Hey, football teams want him, man. NFL teams are looking at him.
Actually, yeah, right? Like how NFL team Chiefs signed a freaking rugby player.
Yeah.
I know it's been a good tournament. Don't get me wrong. It's just been overshadowed by the women's. But this year it has been a much better men's tournament. That is for sure because there were a lot of good games.
Yeah, like there were some upsets, but there weren't like outside of NC State, there weren't really any Cinderella runs like that, right? So, yeah, but like I said,
don't know. Like the Alabama game was close. The NC State game against Duke was close, right? Purdue Tennessee was the game of the tournament in my opinion, right? With Dalton Connect and versus Zach Edey, their performances.
Florida Gators back in 06 and 7.
So I've never really
I think
witnessed it.
I don't know if this is.
I was like 4 years
I don't know
old
if that
then.
was a Joakim Noah year, but yeah.
I was like 4 years, so I never witnessed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, it was like Kansas, UNC, Duke. UConn won like 3 within the last like decade. Type of
That's
thing.
crazy.
Like decade and a half type of thing. But
Villanova's me up there too.
Villanova's up there, Kansas is up here, Duke and them are up here. But yeah, I just like so let's get our predictions going here very quickly.
I already know my predictions.
Okay.
We already said it.
Okay, so it's Purdue.
It's the 1 seeds.
As good as Alabama could be, that I feel like Alabama can upset. That's how I think they're that.
I mean, if Sears drops like 7 threes again.
Nate Oates is a really good coach that way, but here's the thing. Okay, let's just we know our finals. It's Purdue versus
UConn.
UConn. Should we save that? Okay,
We can't save it.
we can save it, right?
We can't.
No, the finals on Monday, so we're recording on Sunday.
Oh, so we can't predict.
We could predict. We don't need to predict this one.
We don't. Yeah, no.
Right? So we'll save it just to see. But the way Purdue's on a mission right now, like that Virginia route from a couple of those when they lost to the 16th seed, it's gonna be tough to go against Zach Edey the way he's going. Like I haven't seen that guy animated, swearing in post game interviews. And
Nah,
stuff.
he's on a mission.
So we'll save that prediction for now. But the prediction we have is the 2-1 seed going out in the final.
Yeah, no, they've been the 2 most dominant teams in the tournament,
Yeah.
and they just performed as advertised.
All right, sticking with basketball, let's get to a little bit of NBA news. The first bit of news here, Joel Embiid is officially back. He came against the OKC Thunder, a good game for him to come back to because OKC, as they're doing better recently.
Joel Embiid's your MVP.
No. But
Came back and beat an OKC team.
without Shea. But the thing with that is, I think it was a good game to come back to because OKC don't have the rebounding, right? They've been doing better recently, but again, that was a good game for him to come back to. Had a good stat line, I believe. I didn't get the chance to watch the game, but so my question to you is this: looking at the standings right now, very quickly because we're gonna cover it more next time. They are currently the 8th seed. They're a game and a half out of 6th, right? A couple of questions here. Part 1 of the question: do you think they'll stay in the play-in?
I mean, this is a depends answer, right? Because I don't think Embiid's gonna play as like tune-up. He's gonna be in a game, out a game. That's my prediction. That Embiid's gonna be like load managed in these last few games.
Because they're locked in the play-in.
Right? Like I think they'll get out. I personally do believe that. You have Embiid back.
The next game's a big one. They're playing the Heat.
Yeah, so winner of that game for sure.
Heat,
Could
Grizzlies,
have a big
Spurs,
advantage
Pistons,
there.
Magic, Nets. So not a tough schedule.
Yeah, no. I think they're good. I think they're
They're
making.
staying in the play-in?
No, they're getting in the playoffs.
No, okay, but so are they staying in the play-in and getting through the playoffs?
No, they're in the playoffs, like the 6th seed. They're in the playoffs.
Okay, so you're saying
Yeah,
that. Okay, never mind. Okay. Part 2 of the question now, because now you said that. Hypothetically, they stay in the play-in. Right now, they're playing the Heat. Who wins that game?
Right now,
Yeah.
in the play-in, they're playing the Heat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. 7-8, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hey, Heat lost last year the first game against Atlanta. I remember that as well.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also went to the finals.
Then again, you're playing an Embiid who's not 100%.
You're playing Embiid who chokes.
And not 100%.
I'm going with the Heat. They just convinced me.
So then who's Bulls Hawks for you? I'm going Hawks. The way DeJounte Murray's been balling.
Oh yeah, I'm going Hawks.
Okay, then Sixers Hawks.
I'll probably go with the Sixers.
See, like I might lean Hawks. I don't know why, but
I don't. They don't have anyone to stop Embiid.
Okay, let's just say they are one of the 7th or 8th seed.
I don't think they stop Embiid.
Okay, they're one of the 7th or 8th seed now. So Boston already clinched the best record in the NBA today, literally right now.
Bro,
just broke.
like the best news, I gotta still say it. What the best news is today, but we'll finish this conversation first.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wish he did that with your team, but
relax. All right, let him have his moment. But we're talking about Embiid.
But Sixers against Celtics and Bucks. How are you faring that matchup? And who do you think he has a better matchup with if he were to get out of the play-in and play one of those teams in a 7-game series? And how scared should both of those teams be?
Not very scared.
Okay.
Holy hell. I hate this, man. I hate being sick. I don't think it fares well for both of them, right? Because you have Horford, aka known as the Embiid stopper on the Celtics, and then Brook Lopez is a good defender himself, right?
And Giannis is there.
And Giannis is there. And Embiid is the only star power, whereas...
Maxey.
Yeah, but Maxey, like, compare, like, Lillard and Giannis.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Tatum and, like, Brown.
And everybody.
And everybody else, because they have, like, freaking 5 All-Stars on their starting lineup, essentially.
So what's the series, then, for against each team?
4-1, 4-1, I would say both. 4-2 at best.
4-2 Bucks, 4-1 Celtics is the way I'm going to put it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay, what's the news?
Oh, yeah. My boy, aka your boy as well.
Yeah.
Malachi Flynn drops 50 points.
Off the bench.
Off the bench for the Detroit Pistons. One of their highlights of the year. So, yeah, just quick surprising news there because Malachi Flynn barely touched 20 when he was on the Raptors. Barely touched minutes when he's on the Raptors as well. But yeah, no, congrats to Malachi Flynn. And that was fun to see.
By the way, all 10 teams are locked in the East for play-in playoff spots. West, we'll see what happens with the Rockets when they play the Warriors, essentially. But moving on, other big news that happened, Steve Clifford has stepped down and will be taking a head office role with the Charlotte Hornets. I think that's the right decision because I feel like that type of team needs a younger coach than an older coach. Not saying Steve Clifford's a bad coach, but yeah, like I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but it makes sense for a younger coach to come in. And right now, I think one of the favorites is Jordi Fernandez, the coach that could have been your coach.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
we witnessed what he did with Canada basketball.
Yeah, no, that's a good candidate for sure. Yeah, this just came out of nowhere, really. You know, Hornets suck.
No surprise.
No surprise, essentially.
Yeah, they're expected to consider Jordi Fernandez of the Sacramento Kings, Charles Lee of the Boston Celtics, Chris Quinn of the Miami Heat, and Kevin Young of the Phoenix Suns. I think that was a hot name last year, if I wasn't mistaken.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, either way, and according to our boy, Alex Adams, if Jordi Fernandez were to take this job and get offered this job and takes it, it should not affect him coaching Canada.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
So that's good news for Canada side of things. At least I hope that stays that way. But yeah, so like honestly, yeah, these are the right candidates in my opinion. Get a young guy in, help develop, and hopefully they're healthy.
You should have a duo now, like Ball and Miller.
If healthy.
Should be a duo.
Ball.
Could be a duo in a couple years.
If healthy. And hopefully no one else is on drugs and criminal activity.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's that news. Other news, probably a Hall of Famer in the future. Rajon Rondo officially calls it a career. Yes, he officially retired now. He did not play this past year. So, hell of a career. Definitely a Hall of Famer. 2 championships with his both rival teams, with the Celtics and the Lakers getting it. Was obviously part of that Chris Paul meme with in the store. Insert clip here if we make this a clip. But yeah, it's decorated career. Obviously, he went everywhere and he played the point guard position like how a point guard does. Like you see him get 2 points and 20 assist games half the time.
Is this the last of the traditional point guards?
No.
Who's left in the league?
Chris Paul.
Obviously, Chris Paul is one.
But like traditional point guard, like how Rondo and Chris Paul play.
Yeah.
Right now in the league, it might be, but like if you're talking about like at the all-star, superstar levels, yes, because I consider Tyus Jones to be that guy as well.
Like, yeah, I'm talking about like that guy, like all-star level.
Tyus Jones is still in the league. If you're asking it that way,
All-star level, I'm talking about.
all-star level, I have to look through the thing quickly,
There's
but
just-
it might be
There's no one.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
But like he's not at that level anymore.
Kyle
Darius Garland. I might consider Darius Garland being that guy. Jalen Brunson, I say he could be
The
a little
game's
more
changed. Game's
Tyrese
changed.
Halliburton.
Yeah.
I would consider Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, no, but they're better scorers.
No, Tyrese Halliburton's not a better. He's more of a passer than a scorer.
Yeah, no, he's more of a passer, but like he gets the points.
I think
still.
Darius Garland and Tyrese Halliburton are like.
I feel like they still get the
facili-
points.
They get the points too. Don't get me wrong. Well, Chris Paul gets his points too when he was in his prime.
That's
Rajon
true,
may
yeah.
have not. Because
Yeah,
Rajon
no, I
Rondo
was trying to
played
think
with-
of that Rajon. Yeah,
I'm talking about like if you're considering Chris Paul in that mold, I think Tyrese Halliburton's in that type of point guard role. I'm not saying they're the
that's
exact
true.
same player.
I know.
So like him and Darius Garland, I would say, no one right now. Not Murray. Mike Conley's still in the league, right?
Yeah, so we're running out.
Running out for sure, right? So if I were to say the young guys is Darius Garland, Tyrese Halliburton, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see Halliburton. I'm not sure.
I think Halliburton's there.
Oh yeah, Halliburton's
He's
there.
up there in
Halliburton's there.
assists. Like you gotta be that guy, right? Like one of the what if teams was if Boogie Cousins did not get hurt. That Pelicans team. I'm not saying they would have won it all, but if they had a healthy Boogie Cousins with Anthony
Playoff
Davis
Rondo was a thing.
and playoff Rondo, we won it with them. So
You won. Yeah, you won it with him. I think I remember that year. I forgot when he was on the Bulls. I think.
that was a forgettable year for me because I was doing. You know how we do our reverse career path challenges?
Yeah.
I was doing that at my head and I was doing it at my work because I was gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I'll just bring it up right now. I got everything right, but I missed the Bulls.
You missed the Bulls.
I missed the Bulls. But then
Who was that?
I know what you're gonna say because he went down injured after game 2, and then
They were up 2-0.
They were up 2-0 as an
Who
8
was
seed or
it?
something.
Was it the Celtics?
I think it was Philly.
I thought it was Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics.
Maybe I don't know.
I think it was the Celtics.
No, Philly did the opposite. Sorry, Philly upset Bulls when Rose got hurt. So I think you were right. It might be the Celtics.
I think it was Isaiah Thomas and Celtics.
But yeah, no, like yeah, but that going back to that Pelicans team very quickly, because I saw something today at work or when I was listening to a different podcast or just looking at stuff. That Pelicans team with him and Drew Holiday in the backcourt.
No, that's defensively
And then
set too.
you got AD and Boogie. If they were just healthy, it would have been insane. Because I think AD and Boogie were the last big man twin tower combo that worked, and it was elite.
Yeah, for
Right?
that half a year.
Like, Gobert's doing fine, but he's not doing what AD and Boogie did.
You know, but like
what
when you
Towns
look at it, like AD and Boogie at that time were able to stretch the floor, play defense. Like they did everything.
More AD than Boogie.
Yeah, no, but they were able to do everything that a big man should do
Yeah.
in this current day and age. Obviously,
Yeah.
not probably as fast as much as Jokic
The
did.
only
but like,
way
yeah.
it will happen is if we get a partner for Wemby or Chet. That's the only way I could say it, like a twin.
Yeah,
tower
no, but
should
like
work.
those guys are skinny,
Yeah.
right? Like AD and
But they're still twin towers. They're
I know
tall.
they're towers, but like AD and Boogie were like built too.
Yeah.
You know, they had a little bit of thickness,
Yeah.
right? In a
Speaking of
non-sus way.
Speaking of Wemby, he had an insane matchup against Jokic.
Oh yeah.
His stat line. We're gonna talk about that more next time, just to save some time here. Especially, we might have a Wemby video coming out. We'll figure that out right now.
Who is standing in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. So the Hall of Fame got announced.
Do not copyright that song, by the way. I only
What's the
said
song?
one lyric. Remember the Hall of Fame song
I
from that $1 Million Arm movie?
I'm bad with remembering movies. If I
You don't
watch
remember that
movies.
one? The $1 Million Arm.
I remember the movie, but I don't remember that.
You remember the song?
No.
Bro, you'll remember it. Once you play the
I'm telling
song.
you,
you'll
I have a
remember it.
bad habit remembering.
Like standing in the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way you said it like that.
Yeah, like
Hopefully
that.
your voice is not good enough.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Okay, but going back to the Hall of Fame here, it is Vince Carter. No surprise, it makes me feel a little bit older because it's been 4 years since he
Yeah.
retired. 22-year career. In a way, I'm surprised he wasn't in already. Chauncey Billups, all right, and iconic championship with the Detroit Pistons back in 2004. Current head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, and obviously what he did with the Nuggets and all of that. NBA icon Jerry West will be elected as a contributor to the game. So I don't know if that'll be his third induction. He was previously enshrined as a player in 1979 and as a member of the 1960 U.S. Olympic team in 2010. So
this
he's
is
a three-time Hall of Famer.
So this will be as an
Rick Flair was a
executive.
two-time Hall of Famer. He's a three. Oh no, he is. Rick Flair was a three-time Hall of Famer now. He matches Ric Flair in terms of 3-time Hall of Famer.
It's a WWE man.
Yeah.
Like I remember Booker T getting in as a single wrestler, as a tag team wrestler. I was like,
because Ric Flair got
what is
it
this shit?
because of Evolution. I forgot.
I
And
know.
4 Horsemen. So, going back to this. Like I said, Carter, 22 years in the NBA, most ever. Billups was a 5-time All-Star during a 17-year career. The official announcement is expected to come Saturday, with the enshrinement weekend on August 16, 17.
So the two. Remember last time we talked about is like who will get in. The 2 players we predicted got in.
Yeah.
And Billups and
So we'll
Carter
see the
as
official
well.
one on Saturday. So next episode we'll get the official list. But before we go on to the NFL news, I'm gonna ask you this: Vince Carter did say that if he were to get a hat in it, I don't know how it works, if it's similar to MLB or not. If he were to pick one, it would be the Toronto Raptors. So how does that make you feel that he is gonna pick the Raptors after, even though you weren't really watching them when the history happened, where like bad blood between the two, the franchise and Vince Carter. But he did say like that's where it all started, and obviously both sides mended a lot of things because now obviously
he gets cheered.
the last couple of
He got cheered every time.
Even when he came as a game commentator, he was cheered in Toronto.
He got cheered, yeah.
And yeah, so what are your thoughts on that? And then
I'm pumped, yo. He's a Raptor legend, right? Officially,
Yeah.
Raptor legend, Vince Carter. We claim Vince Carter. As simple as that, right? And he claimed us now.
Yeah.
So now it's both ways, officially.
Obviously, he put Canada on the map. That alone deserves to be the Hall of Fame thing. Because if that was Vancouver, we probably would have been Vancouver Grizzlies fans, and Memphis probably would have not existed
It feels
as a Grizzlies.
feels weird being chosen, right?
Yeah.
It just like as your team, like who we support, right? Like in free agency wise, they suck,
Yeah.
right? All this stuff. It feels weird being chosen,
Yeah.
right? And Vince Carter chose.
Yeah, DeMar chose you too before you shipped them out, but then you got a championship.
Yeah, I know. That's the case as well.
But
That's a different case.
Last question before we go to the NFL to close it out here. There's rumors that he might get his jersey retired this year by you guys on the last home game of the year. I don't know how true that is. I don't know why it would be so quickly planned. There are less than 10 games to go, so they could probably plan it quick to at least bring some excitement to your franchise with all the injuries and the trades and the whole Jonte Porter situation, right? Maybe that's the reason why. So my question to you is this: everybody thought it was going to be Kyle Lowry first and then Vince. Do you personally care, and should Raptors fans care that it doesn't matter who gets first as long as they both get in?
They both should get in. The case for Kyle Lowry, like Kyle Lowry has a stronger case to be first.
Yeah.
But Vince Carter also is older.
But yeah, so that's what I'm
So
saying.
in that
Do you
sense,
care?
like I don't care in the sense that like at the end of the day, I don't want Vince waiting all this time just to get his jersey retired, right? Just to
Well,
wait.
you don't know when Kyle's retiring.
He's still playing.
He
He's
could
still in
retire
the
next
league.
year for all we know.
He's still in the league, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know when Kyle Lowry's gonna stop. For in that case, I don't want Vince just waiting around. So there's like a age conflict. That I'm saying that Vince should be first in that sense. But then again, Kyle does have the stronger case to be first. So I personally don't care for that reasoning.
If Vince does get in this year or early next year, and Kyle obviously waits another 2-3 years, and what would you say to the fan base saying like, oh, why are they doing Vince right now? It should have been Kyle. He's the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. Is that just stupid in your eyes? Because
Yeah,
they're both going to get it.
They're both getting it.
Both might get statues.
One played in the 90s. Legit played
Late
in the 90s.
Like 98.
Is still in the 90s. And one is still playing at this current moment. Well, one's been retired for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And a Hall of Famer claiming you guys. So that makes the case makes the case even better. It would have been different if he said, I'm picking New Jersey.
Yeah. If that's also good reasoning as well, too. But yeah, no, I personally don't care in that sense because he's just so much older. No offense.
And he put Raptors on the map, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Without him, it might not be Kyle Lowry. In
Kyle Lowry has the stronger case.
Yeah.
But Vince has the age, I guess.
Okay, last thing before we close it out here. Start off with, we should have actually led the pod off with this.
Yeah.
But rest in peace, tragedy. On April 1st, Vonate Davis, he passes away at the age of 35, found dead at residence in his residence at his South Florida home by the house assistant. Preliminary information suggests that foul play is not involved. Davie police said in a statement, adding that the investigation still remains active. Davis spent 10 seasons in the NFL after the Miami Dolphins selected him in the first round of 2009. The team traded him to our squad, the Indianapolis Colts, in 2012, and he made 2 Pro Bowls during his 6-year stint with the AFC South club. The cornerback then joined Buffalo Bills for 2018 campaign, where this part should not be involved in here, but like people might remember him where he retired at halftime in
right,
week
yeah.
2, but that's not the story of this situation. And so rest in peace. Condolences to your family and friends, all the franchises, your former teammates, so on and so forth. It's unfortunate that I don't fully remember. Maybe I remember watching you. I just don't. We weren't that. At least I wasn't that big in football at that point, as much as I am since COVID, especially, and more so now during the podcast. So, but I do remember hearing his name. A 2-time Pro Bowler, first-round pick, definitely a stud. So,
Man, he played like a stud.
like Demaryius Thomas, who was a stud himself and gone too soon. Same thing here. So rest in peace.
Yeah, just terrible news.
Let's move on. Let's end on a little bit of lighter note. Maybe a slight debate we have, depending on how this situation goes. Breaking news dropped this morning, proving my point a little bit correct back then, which I was surprised about because I didn't.
Well, your prediction.
Stefon Diggs is officially traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. And I heard some not reports rumbling that the Houston could be a landing spot for him in general. The reason why I'm a little surprised is, before I tell you the trade package, is because Gabe Davis was already gone as well. But the package is, and there's a little backstory I need to tell you after you get a quick reaction, then we'll get into the deeper reaction analysis of this. But Stefon Diggs will be gone. The Bills will receive a 2025 second-round pick via the Minnesota Vikings, while the Texans get Diggs, a 6th-round pick this year, and a 2025 5th-rounder next year. I think, obviously, the second round is a big piece of that return. Giving away those two could just simply be getting off his contract, if that's the case.
Man, the value dropped.
There's $30 million dead cap in that as well. Actually, I'll just quickly say it now. There was like a RG3, Robert Griffin III, dropped the thing like, does Josh Allen's success go is a big reason of Stefon Diggs, something like that. And then some fan or someone responded by saying like, yes, obviously he got better because Josh Allen was better because of a good receiver. But if you're saying that Diggs was Diggs is the reason alone, no, or something. And then Diggs responds with, you sure about that? And then less than 24 hours later, he got traded.
Oh, yeah. But this thing was like brewing from a long time ago. It's not just that conversation as well. One thing that pisses me off is that you got this right. Couldn't get anything else right regarding free agency. But you have to get the thing that's right that causes our team a little bit of pain.
I didn't say Texans, though.
I thought you did say Texans.
No.
Okay, then never mind.
No, okay. I did say the Texans should go after him if he were to be available. I said that about the Texans for Mike Evans and all these guys. So
I remember you made this prediction about Man United or something that caused Man United to lose or something. You got it right.
I don't know, but no, I remember me saying that Diggs could be gone, and you saying that you were saying not fully the opposite, but something else against me. I was just saying that because the drama's too much and all that stuff. And
I'm just saying that
clearly it is.
I was just saying the situation was like, you're really gonna let him go when you're trying to win type of thing. But then again, I think ultimately I think it is a good move. As much of a Diggs fan I am, right? He is 30. He is coming off his worst year.
You got a second out of it. You're not gonna get the package wasn't gonna get any better. Yeah.
Right. Like we saw this trade with DeAndre Hopkins when he was around 30 years old, when he got traded to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
We saw the offer of Julio Jones going from Atlanta to Tennessee. Right. The offers are not great at the end of the day. These players are first round pick worthy trades, but at the end of the day, age matters in the NFL. Once you reach 30, your value drops incredibly. In the sense of Houston, a massive dub, I will have to put him top 3, questionable, tied for 3 in the AFC. Chiefs being 1, the Ravens being 2, and them and the Bengals duking it out for 3 as my top AFC teams at the moment. I have them ahead of everyone in the East. I have everyone ahead of the South at the moment. CJ Stroud's a baller. He just got more weapons. Nico Collins is coming off a career year, and he should be getting more open because attention is going to be paid to Diggs. You brought back Schultz. Your line is still the same.
Yeah,
you could improve the line a little bit more. You still
Joe Mixon.
had the draft for that. You added Joe Mixon. You added Daniil Hunter. right? Will Anderson's only going to get better.
And you have
Jalen
D'Amico
Petrie
Ryans.
is only going to get better. You have Jimmy Ward. You have D'Amico Ryans. And you also have a long shot in Jeff Okuda. And then Derek Stingley, who finally kind of broke out this year as well.
Yeah.
So Texans just, Nick Caserio, well done. Round of applause to you. Because you just put on a GM masterclass in these last couple of years. Being able to, ever since you got hired, essentially, right? Dealing with the Deshaun Watson situation, building your young core, and now signing these veterans to establish your young core, elevate your young core while most of your young core, aka Stroud and Anderson, are on their rookie deals. So hats off to Nick Caserio, and I do believe Houston is a top 3 team in the AFC at the moment.
Okay, so my analysis on the Houston Texans very quickly. You kind of covered a lot of it, and I agree with a lot of that as well. They won free agency for me, right? On the flip side, the Bills lost free agency, but we'll get that in a second. Yeah, at the end of the day, when it comes to the NFL, rebuilds can happen quick as long as you have the right quarterback. And you see what happened with the New York Jets these past couple of years. They just didn't get the quarterback right. Cleveland Browns didn't get the quarterback right. And other teams as well, right, around the NFL.
Colts,
yeah, but again, they didn't really draft as well. But I'm just saying, like, more so the drafting guys, as like the Jets went from Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson, right, before they brought in Aaron Rodgers. But in this case, you hit a home run. You got luck. You won the game against the Colts to get you CJ Stroud. Otherwise, you might be standing here with Bryce Young. Again, Bryce Young could have been good. I'm not gonna take away anything, right? A name you forgot to mention, Bobby Slowick.
Oh, yeah.
He should have been having head coaching opportunities. He just elected to stay. I think he got a bigger contract as well. Probably should be a head coaching candidate next year, along with guys like Ben Johnson and whoever else is going to be available. But yeah, see, you got CJ Stroud right. And because of that, this is exactly what I wanted the Colts to do. You did that in Houston. Because we still need to see what Anthony Richardson is. But, you added Daniil Hunter to the line to help out a guy like
Anderson.
Will Anderson. You have your safeties. You added low risk, high reward type guys in Jeff Okuda as well. You have Derek Stingley, like you said. So they did that. On the offensive side, I did say, like, as much as a good of a year Nico Collins had, I still need to see if he's actually a 1. So go get him a veteran. They were in on Keenan Allen, didn't get him. They ended up getting Stefon Diggs. I'm not saying he did not obviously have a good year compared to Keenan Allen especially, but you get him in, so you have 1A and 1B, I guess you could say right now.
Yeah, and
for now we'll see, and then we'll see what Diggs' attitude's gonna be like, because he wasn't getting the ball much last year or the year before. That's what maybe the big complaints was.
The Bills were kind of doing better without him as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense as well. Another thing is,
when you have Bobby Slowick calling plays, I'm sure he'll get both guys involved. Plus, you got Tank Dell coming back. You have John Mechie there, who could be a guy for them.
Yeah, you got 4.
And then you have Joe Mixon. Now you got a good run option there. And then you brought back Dalton Schultz as a good veteran tight end,
you're
right?
set. You're just set.
So yeah, do I 3? Yeah, they're definitely behind the Chiefs and Ravens probably. I would put them in the same tier as the Bengals, Jets, and Dolphins right now.
Nah, Dolphins.
I'm gonna just say that
They're ahead of the Dolphins.
I'm just gonna put that.
Jets at the end of the day still are a question mark. If I'm giving them proper ranking, I'm giving them a tie for 3 with the Bengals because you still respect Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And then on the other sense, Diggs, wherever Diggs went, right, the quarterback play gets elevated, right?
True.
Right, and that's another thing. This is a big W for Tank Dell because his injury was big, right? It was a terrible injury, and now he doesn't have to be forced back, right? He could be eased back in. He doesn't have to go all 100%, which could be good for him health-wise. Yeah, one issue is, how is the locker room chemistry going to face with a guy like Diggs, who has been complaining the last couple years?
Including Minnesota a little bit.
And Minnesota, where he was complaining a little bit too. But no, there's no question of talent. Diggs is still a top 10 receiver in the game.
Yeah, he has a good dual partner. He had it in Thielen, right? I think Nico Collins is better than Gabe Davis. So So there's that as well, right? Before we go to the Buffalo side of things, as Colts fans, you guys are probably wondering, yes, we're annoyed. This is what we wanted them to do. Our secondary, please go add someone. We brought back Julian Blackmon, so hopefully it's a Quandre Diggs. And
hey, man, I'll be happy with a Gilmore and Diggs.
Yeah. And then
Draft
but we
block
had a
flowers.
whole indie reaction. We're probably gonna drop a video on that soon. But we dropped it a couple of episodes ago as well before, he got sick and now I got sick. But let's talk about Buffalo to close it out, because this is, like I said, we went from probably one of the biggest winners in free agency to now one of the biggest losers, along with the Chargers. They don't have Gabe Davis anymore. Their wide receiver one currently is Shakir, right? They have now, like the Chiefs, they have good tight end options in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Fair. James Cook had a good year under Joe Brady as the OC, right? So the question is, what can you do going forward? Obviously, you have to draft someone. You got rid of guys like Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. Von Miller did not have a great year for you.
I mean,
their center is gone. Mitch Morse, I believe, is his name. And
you can't really hate the moves either.
Yeah, they're freeing up cap space.
All these guys they're old. They're freeing up cap space.
And they're injury prone.
And they're injury prone, right? Like, their safeties are never healthy. Tre'Davious White, for as good as he is, he's not healthy, which is going to affect his play now. Hopefully, he does bounce back with the Rams. Von Miller hasn't been that guy, that the edge rusher they needed to close out games. Von Miller wasn't that guy. And in the sense of, obviously, Diggs, it was just kind of brewing at this rate.
Yeah.
And, the window has closed.
For this year.
For the next couple of years, I would say.
I would say this year, only because you still have Josh Allen and you saw what they did
Without
with CJ Stroud. Houston did with CJ Stroud literally in a year. So if you're saying...
It could be a year, yeah.
So
it could be a year.
Depending on how they draft and how they develop and if they have the cap space...
But that's also that. We don't know how they're going to draft, how they're going to develop,
yes,
right?
They're third in the division.
So that's
currently
2 years.
Right now, they're third in the division, right? Assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, right? For me,
Well, you still never know. Dolphins always choke.
True, but again, Josh Allen is that good. Josh Allen is that good.
He is that good.
So I won't be surprised if they even do good next year in general because you have Josh Allen. I don't think they will be going in with Shakir as wide receiver one. So there are options available. So these are the names I'm going to throw out there that could be there. T. Higgins. He wants a wide receiver one opportunity. This is a good spot for him because you have two good tight ends, right?
Here's the
number
thing
two.
with that, yeah.
Number two. I'm gonna name.
Yeah, name it first.
And the other two I thought of on the top of my head, because obviously the big ones are all off the board at this point, which is why this kind of surprised me, is one of Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, who needs to get paid. And if Brandon Ayuk,
it's probably Ayuk.
Who is no? Because they're saying they're trying. The people they're honestly Deebo's more in the trade rumors than Brandon Ayuk. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they would rather keep Ayuk. And by how underrated Ayuk is as a wide receiver one, obviously you as an Indy Colts fan wanted him so bad as well as me. But if you give Josh Allen Ayuk, I think they're back right there.
Oh,
they need to figure out the defense. Don't get me wrong. I get that part. But I'm saying offensively, they will be back. If they get one of these three guys, especially Ayuk.
It's also a deep wide receiver class as well.
Yeah. And then add a receiver through depth.
Yeah.
Or they trade up and get Marvin Harrison.
No, there's definitely a lot of question marks on defensively as well, especially that regarding the secondary. Rasul Douglas is a good player. He's be leading, and Taron Johnson. I think safety-wise, they definitely have more question marks for sure. At the end of the day, I don't think the Bills all season was like an L, like how the Chargers had an L. In the sense that the Bills need to make changes, right? And the changes you need to make is get rid of old guys hogging all your money, right? Draft good these next couple of years. And let's see if you got a guy like Ayuk and stuff. Things like that. I think Allen should be playing better in the sense of now he's going to have the run game is there now, right? A run game exists in Buffalo, right? A run game does exist in Buffalo, which is going to help Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Another thing is, they did play better when Diggs didn't get like as many touches, right? Like Diggs didn't feel involved in the offense, but they were winning games, and Diggs did go on that streak where he didn't get 100 yards. I think in like 10 games in a row, and that's kind of a case, you know. Those are the games you won where Diggs wasn't producing because you kind of didn't need him. And then point number 3 is Josh Allen might throw less interceptions. One, because he might run himself and get 2,000 yards as a quarterback. Number 2, he's not going to force the ball to Diggs anymore because there's no one complaining to get the ball.
The winner, before I close it out here, Diggs is a winner too because CJ Stroud is very good with the football. And making, right? But yeah, no, it's going to be, let's see how much Josh Allen is going to be Superman this year. But for me, Sean McDermott's on the hot seat. I think this is his last year. as well.
I think he gets 2 in the sense of like.
I think he gets more of this.
I think it's 2.
I think it's just this. Like if they
Hey man, this is like kind of make or break. If they make the playoffs and win the division,
but then
Sean McDermott's gonna have a lot to do with that.
I get that too, but again, like owners don't care, right? At the end of the day, if it's not the big one, owners don't care. Like I was not surprised he did not get fired, but I wouldn't have been shocked if he got fired, coming out of that.
Yeah, it's hard to fire a guy who's been there for like almost 10 years now.
I get that too, but again,
right, yeah, the same thing as Tomlin. Tomlin only won once. Why isn't Tomlin fired?
Yeah, no, fair.
Right.
I get that. Same thing with Belichick.
Same thing with Shanahan. Shanahan hasn't won one.
Yeah, no fair. I said Shanahan might be in trouble too in the next couple of years if he doesn't win the big one.
The only guy who deserved to be safe for all these years was Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and Andy Reid.
And Andy Reid, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's our overall thoughts on this trade. So yeah, make sure give us your thoughts below. Who won this trade? Did the Bills get fleeced? Or however you want to say it, what they are gonna do as well. Like we said before, NHL, NBA heavy coming forward after March Madness finishes up. Slight NFL draft in there as well. Make sure you guys like this video. MLB power rankings are out, both mine and his. So make sure you guys follow the Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe for the YouTube shorts because they're already there.
1 subscriber equals 1 health point for us.
Exactly. So that should be 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're almost there at 500. So please help us get there as well. Like we said, a special video should be out this weekend, assuming we're healthy. And audio listeners, make sure you guys continue to rate, review, and download the podcast. We appreciate you guys as well who's listening. And other than that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.